So today we're going to have a look at Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, absolutely astonishing clips of them talking about the border crisis, what's going on down in Texas, the fact that 300,000 illegal immigrants crossed over the border in December alone, and the fact that our governments seem to be absolutely fine with it. We're going to have a look at the insane difference between Joe Rogan and Conor McGregor when voicing the exact same concerns about their country. It's so crazy to actually see. We'll get into that a little bit later. Before we do, if you could hit like, subscribe and share, I'd really appreciate that. So let's jump into Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz talking about the Texas border situation, which anybody that's paying attention to the news knows exactly what's going on. 300,000 men came over the border in December alone, and that's only the guys that are being counted. These are the guys that are being processed and then being left go. And these are probably the guys that are hanging around on the corner of your neighborhood. These are the guys that are more than likely the reason you can't actually book a holiday away in a hotel with your wife for a weekend. These are people that are adding to the inflation problem, adding to the fact that your taxes are gone sky high to pay for the number of guys that are popping in. And we're being told that we got to pay for more. And you got to shut your mouth as well, by the way. Don't ever talk about it because you're racist. Let's have a little listen to what the boys are up to.
That fucking border.
It's a wild thing. It's a wild thing they're
doing. That border, what Abbott is doing down there, telling those motherfuckers to step off and shit.
You know, the sending the buses filled with immigrants to the sanctuary cities is such a crazy move. Like, fuck you. You take care of them. You're just letting them in. Your policies are letting them in. You're encouraging people to go there because you're a sanctuary city. Good, we'll help you out. We'll help you out.
I guess to add a little bit of context to this, Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas. He's decided that he wants to unleash 70 rolls of barbed wire to stop these immigrants coming over the border. Obviously, they're illegal, and if you have any due diligence in terms of running a state, running a country, you know that someone breaking the law needs to be punished or stopped. Not so much here in Ireland, not so much over there under the Biden administration either. Here in Ireland in recent times, I think the Minister for Justice granted amnesty to 16,000 illegal immigrants and got a round of applause from the mainstream media and their colleagues in government who we pay to run our country and listen to our needs. They gave themselves a little pat on the back for releasing 16,000, now remember this, illegal immigrants. So don't be gaslit by whatever our leaders are telling us in terms of these are far-right talking points or these are conspiracy theories, this is misinformation and disinformation. No, it's not. There is actually mainstream outlets covering and debunking this stuff. So the context here is the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is rolling out the barbed wire. He's trying to stop this. The Democrat-run Biden administration, who pretty much have a full-time job gaslighting a nation, has said absolutely not. They've had a vote in the Supreme Court, 5-4, I believe, in favor of getting down there and taking away the barbed wire and cat wire and just allowing these people to continue to flow into our countries. Can you imagine that it's 2024 and we live in a world where this is actually allowed? I know that sounds naive, but that's basically what we're talking about. Joe's talking about sanctuary cities like New York and Washington, all these liberal run blue states that are welcoming of diversity, welcoming of multiculturalism until it actually arrives, and then they kind of go, absolutely not, we don't want them. Send them somewhere else. Send them to a lesser affluent area and they can deal with the actual fallout of these people who don't want to acclimate. Send them over there, that's fine. The exact same operation is in play right here in Ireland. You know, we have the Minister for Justice again making headlines last year when she refused to take refugees into her house. When she asked the entire nation, can you take refugees into your house? Everybody was obliged to do that apparently, but not her because she lived in a rural area and it would take too long for a refugee to make it from her beautiful countryside mansion to a town where there's nothing for them to do anyway. So that was kind of ironic enough. Again, people see this stuff, goes in one ear, out the other, and they move on with their day. It's fine.
It's a fantasy platform. This is a fantasy. Like, come here, we'll accept you all. And let's say that the governor now, she's like, that's enough. No more. You can't come here. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. What does that mean? Go where? They're already here. There's too many. There's millions. You guys have let millions in. There's more illegal immigrants over the last few years than are legal residents in like 5 states.
This is obviously on a larger scale than it would be in some place like Ireland. Not Europe necessarily, because France, Italy, Germany, the UK, they're all overrun. But this is a relatively new experience we're having here in Ireland. For the leader of our country to come out overtly last week and say that there is no such thing as an illegal immigrant, and even if there was, we don't have any in this country. Then he got fact-checked the day after that statement by a national broadcaster, and that got totally debunked. debunked. Apparently there was 3,700 people that came through that didn't have any identification, and by virtue of the fact, just because you got processed and caught, that doesn't mean that you are not illegal. That means that we just left you off of it. That's kind of what the story is there. And in that same statement, the leader of our country made so many egregious statements that were called out the next day by the mainstream media. It was lovely to see, because it wasn't someone online like myself that's talking out, or someone over on Twitter that's talking out, and automatically we get demonetized, deplatformed, misinformation, disinformation. The same jargon is rolled out. This was actually fact-checked by a mainstream outlet, and you love to see it.
Who entered the U.S. illegally, with daily apprehensions surpassing 10,000 thrice, up from the 6,400 average last month. According to federal data obtained by CBS News, roughly 1,500 immigrants are being processed each day at official border crossings under the Biden program powered by a phone app.
But that's not sneaking across. That's why I was like, that's not answering the question you asked.
It says, but they are. It says entering the U.S. illegally.
But they're processed. So
Right.
It's not sneaking.
Right, but they still made it across illegally. They entered in illegally. That's just what I'm saying. I'm saying sneaking in, but that's really what it is. They're processing anybody, but they're just letting them go. This is what's crazy. They're processing you, but it's bullshit. They don't say you have to go back. There's no going back. You go in. They give you a phone. They give you money.
A phone?
Yeah, some places they're giving people phones.
Very interesting correlation between the process in the United States of America and here in Ireland. So you're coming in, you're illegal, you don't have any identification. We have no way of doing a background check on you, because obviously you're from the Middle East and you wouldn't fall under the umbrella of, we'll say, Interpol or a European Union. So even if you did have ID, or we could fingerprint you, there's absolutely no way of telling what and where you have come from. So as I said, here in Ireland, we've got like 3,000, 4,000 people coming in that we know of that have been processed like that. So they're not illegal. They've been processed, but they've been left go without any identification. And also in the same article that debunked our leader, an interesting fact about our leaders here in Ireland is that there's no such thing as deportation. They said that this was misinformation, but when the article was written by the mainstream media and they got completely and utterly obliterated, it pointed out the fact that yes, there is deportation, but it's self-deportation, where the government will tell you to leave because you don't meet the requirements. But you don't have to leave, they just tell you to leave. You can just imagine how that works. You know, them bunches of lads that stand on the corners with their Deliveroo bikes leering at all the teenage girls that walk by. They get a text message from Leo Varadkar, the leader of this country, and he tells them, yeah, listen, you got to deport yourself, lads. And they're all like going, okay, cool. We'll get right on that, pal.
So 10,000 a day. If it's 10,000 a day daily, if that's the high end. Let's assume that they're not counting them all, and a lot of them sneak through. 10,000. That's 3,650,000 a year. That's a lot. If it really is 10,000 a day, that is fucking bananas.
Do you see the lines of the people that are fucking coming through?
It's nuts.
And, you know, listen, I don't know if a lot of people know this shit. Sanitation, police, all this shit in New York, there's no overtime. Mm-hmm. Because all that budget has gone to the migrants.
Yeah.
And the migrants are not happy. Whoever made that didn't check with the people.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like whoever said we're a sanctuary city in New York City didn't check with the people in the community.
You know what it is? It's just letting everybody know you're not racist. You're not racist. You have no problem with immigrants.
Well, we're not racist.
We're not, of course.
We're not racist, but I see that my friend who's got 2 children that depends on overtime from the sanitation department can't get it. He's a supervisor. He lost thousands in fucking salaries.
Because it's all going to this...
To the migrant thing.
That's so
and
crazy.
Cops, no overtime, you know. So this is what this is doing, you know. And this just isn't New York. It's got to be in all the big cities.
Chicago
Houston,
has a big problem with it.
Texas, Houston, you know. Mm-hmm. And what comes from this? You don't know. Again, we're going back to the Marielle thing. I don't know who the fuck is coming in.
Yeah.
I don't know if they raped 22 women. I don't know if they raped 22 boys.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're perfect fucking citizens. We don't know these things.
We don't know.
These are really important questions here from Joey Diaz. We don't know who's coming in. We don't know and understand, and most people don't care to learn about how this affects our local economy, how this affects our local people in terms of their jobs, their overtime, their taxes going sky high all of a sudden, and the fact that there's no services, so now we got to spend even more money to try get a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment. We don't know the knock-on effects of this. And as the lads alluded to here, this has been done for virtue. This has has been done to meet quotas within the European Union. This has been done by the Democrats just to be virtuous, to try run on this party political line of diversity is our strength. It's garbage. It's garbage. Joey said it there. You never ask the people. You never ask the people that you're actually working for whether it was okay to just flood their neighborhoods, flood their towns, destroy their businesses, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And if it's not meeting quotas, and if it's not being virtuous just to run politically, well, it's for one thing, and that's so we can all hold up our hands and tell everybody that we're not racist. I do not care about that garbage. Everything should be done to secure borders. What's happening on the Texas border is absolutely perfect, and it's probably too late at this stage to even implement it. But you know what? It's better than nothing. And the fact that a Democrat-run government under Biden and Kamala Harris, which is just even embarrassing to say that, the fact that these two people could actually run something, cringe. They're just allowing this to happen to normal people and then going after them politically. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And the same thing goes for Ireland. So Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz go at it. They absolutely tear down and destroy the narrative surrounding the Texas border and between Biden attacking Greg Abbott and the National Guard. They go for it. They put all the cards out on the table and it's absolutely fine. It gets clipped. It shows up on the internet and people get encouraged by this sort of free thinking and free speaking. People become aware of what's going on there a lot more because of clips like this. What happens on this side of the pond when someone like Conor McGregor does it? Conor McGregor is being investigated by the Irish police for allegedly inciting hate around Dublin riots after the UFC star blasted the country's government on its social media. So Conor McGregor comes out, he talks about the immigration process in Ireland and how it leads to violence, as it did during December when a number of young children were injured. Tensions started to boil over. Conor McGregor, being a native of Dublin and Ireland and a proud Irishman, came out and voiced his opinion in terms of the immigration in this country and how it led to Indigenous people losing their life in certain situations and getting very, very seriously injured, young children. He came out and he voiced that, and now he's being investigated. The police are coming after him. They want answers, and he could quite possibly find himself in prison under the new hate speech law if it does come to fruition. This is the difference between Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz going after the government over there. Say what you want about the system, say what you want about Biden and Harris and the Republican Democratic Party going at each other. You're allowed to speak over there. Conor McGregor voiced his opinion over here, and he could quite possibly be going to prison. That's the position we're in as sovereign human beings of a country right now, that we're not allowed to speak, and if we do, we could end up in prison. So let me know what you think about the border situation down in Texas. Let me know what you think about Joey Diaz and Joe Rogan calling it out, and let me know what you think of Conor McGregor potentially getting investigated, arrested, and quite possibly going to prison. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts down below. Cheers.